What's up, everybody? My name's Cullen, and this is my third video in my Artist Way series. Today, I'm going to be reflecting on my experience during week 2. So, I'll go ahead and get into it, but I just want to mention real quickly that once again, I've recorded this entire video, and the video got corrupted when I finished. It seems like the issue is if I go over 20 minutes, it can't save it correctly. So I am going to try and be conscious of time for that reason. Um, Otherwise, it's all good. I've thought of some ways I can restructure the video anyways so I can hit the points that I really want to emphasize, and spend less time on others. So, yeah, I want to start by briefly talking about my artist state this week. I kind of did two different things, or three, depending on how you look at it. Um, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. So, the first thing I did was I went to Greenville, South Carolina for an afternoon, and it was awesome. The night before I left, I found an event that was being hosted at a brewery, which was like a tarot night. And so I kind of like went there with the intention of going to that, but that wasn't until evening. So I got there early in the afternoon and spent the day there. I First thing I did when I got there was get my hair cut kind of impulsively. I just saw a barber's and I was getting kind of shaggy, so I decided to do that. It was awesome. Got my head massaged and hair washed, and it was like the full treatment. It was honestly a great way to start the trip. Um, and then I walked around downtown. I did some shopping and talked to a friend on the phone for a while. Um, Great experience. I went to this like art gallery thing, I guess just art shop, that was selling handmade goods, and I found this awesome nightlight. I need a bulb for it, but yeah, it's like paper mache or something, and I think it's really cool. I love the designs on it. It's probably backwards, but the thing I was drawn to the most was that it says salesperson wanted, must look honest. I love that. And then it says inner peace through impulse purchasing. So it also has this awesome dragonfly, really, really well drawn. So yeah, I don't understand the whole thing, which is honestly fine. It just is really cool to me, and I love it. So um, yeah, after I did the shopping and stuff, I went to Falls Park downtown, and it's this really cool park with like a waterfall and a river running through it. Um, it was gorgeous, a gorgeous day, and so I kind of just posted up, um, found a spot. I did some meditating. I spent some time in my sketchbook drawing, and I really tried to focus on just like being there in the moment and experiencing everything that was happening, leaning into my different senses. What was I hearing, smelling? What did the air feel like on my skin? And yeah, it was honestly beautiful. Uh, there was like a little grassy area in front of me, and I got to watch families and little kids run around and play. There was a guy, an entertainer, who was juggling, so got to watch him. It was great people watching. At some point, a musician set up on the hill behind me and started playing some live music and singing. So yeah, it was just like super peaceful and beautiful. The sound of the waterfall was really calming. And it was a really nice shift because for a while, as I was walking around downtown, like I was feeling very pressured. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to do all the things, go into all the shops and look at all the things for sale, and it started to feel like a lot. And um, it was sucking the fun out of it. So I'm really glad that I decided to go to the park and just kind of chill, because I feel like I got a lot out of that, and the experience was really great. Um, Later that night, I did go to the tarot event, which was also really cool. Just fun to see how people who are passionate about something, organize and host events like that. They had a whiteboard there that had like a suggested spread. And then they also had, it was like a way to practice reading for other people. So it was, they basically gave you some context for the scenario of like who you were pulling for and what they were asking about. And then down below they had 3 cards, and you were basically supposed to interpret it as if you had pulled that spread for them. And yeah, just like a cool, fun night. Nice way to end a good trip. Then the other thing I did was I went to Walmart and went shopping for some art supplies. That was less of like an intentional artist date, but I think it still could be categorized as one. I spent a lot of time just wandering the aisles, seeing what they had, touching stuff, looking at the different stuff they had for sale. I ended up buying some art supplies for myself, which I've been needing for a while anyways. So I bought some acrylic paints, paintbrushes, canvases, stickers, glue sticks, crayons, some air drying like modeling clay. So just some like fun stuff to play with as I feel inspired. And it feels good. Something that came up for me as I was walking through the aisles was kind of like a discomfort, almost an embarrassment to be spending so much time in those aisles. Which, as I reflect on it, like, it sounds silly. I was just shopping for art supplies, but a lot of this stuff does seem tailored to children, or even kind of like more feminine, which there's nothing wrong with, but I think it's just interesting the internal reaction and embarrassment and judgment that came up for me spending time in those aisles and like really taking my time to look at everything there. I also felt myself like, when it came to choosing between 2 different things, it was like, oh, we'll just go for whatever, like, just make a decision. Like, it's really not that important, but it was important to me, and just acknowledging that and taking a few extra seconds to like really put some thought into one choice versus another. Yeah, it was an interesting experience. So the next thing I want to talk about is the third question in the reflection for this week, which is issues that came up. So the main issues that I dealt with this week related to motivation and discipline and energy levels. There were some days where I felt like I was really able to show up in the ways that I wanted to. I was energetic and excited about doing the Artist Way work, and it came easy to me. Other days, I had no motivation to do it, and I was feeling low energy, and I ended up skipping it at least 1 or 2 days. And so, yeah, that kind of brought up a lot of different things for me, especially around this idea of like showing up each day and the ebbs and flows, as she describes it, of the recovery process. And that's something that's always been hard for me, understanding that things do change day to day. Not every day looks the same. Energy levels change. Sleep at night varies. And understanding that and like giving myself space to experience all of it, and not being too hard on myself when I'm not able to show up in the ways that I expect. Giving myself some grace. And when I really like thought back on my week, it was interesting to me because I actually did show up for myself in a lot of ways. Maybe not those specific ways that I was hoping to, but I think it's still important to give myself credit where it's due. And this week I picked up multiple shifts at work, and changed my schedule around. So I ended up working a lot more hours than I'm used to working. I also dog and house sat for half the week for a new family. So I was staying at a completely unfamiliar house with new animals and a new routine. And yeah, my energy levels were radically different some days, and I spent a lot of time chilling and taking it easy. But I also spent quite a bit of time outside in nature with the dogs, hiking. Um, I worked out multiple times and did cardio and lifted weights. So I'm showing up for myself physically, and also that is really impactful for my mental health. Um, yeah, I think when I reflect on work, also like showing up and picking up shifts for people, that that helps my relationship with my coworkers. It helps my relationships with my bosses. Um, Financially, I'm putting myself in a better position. Like I worked more this week than I normally do, but I also made a lot more money. So while it's really easy to look at the things that I didn't do or that I'm not doing on a certain day, I realize that it takes maybe some more effort to really focus on the things that I did do and find the gratitude for those things and for myself for showing up in those ways. Um, so, yeah, that's something I'm going to focus on going forward. And this is kind of where I wanted to spend most of my time talking today, anyways, because what I've learned through my years of therapy, is that I have a tendency to relate to myself through pressure. So um, I tend to be very hard on myself, and I think that the only way that I'm ever going to get myself to do the things I want to do is to pressure myself and be hard on myself. And the more that I spend time with this and bring my awareness to it, the more that I realize that coping mechanism actually just hinders me in the long run. Um, and I really tried to spend some time this week thinking about it from the perspective of my inner artist or my inner child. Because I think one thing that I have a tendency to do is that when I understand the issue I'm facing logically, I automatically assume that it should resolve itself. Like I should, because I understand it mentally, now everything else should catch up. And it's like I'm almost ashamed to still be dealing with that issue. Um, and so I'm going to share a little bit. I'm going to share a journal entry because I think it captures it really well. I wrote this on Friday while I was dog sitting after taking the dogs on a hike. Okay, I'm gonna pick up right where I left off. Um, Sometimes I can believe and understand something and still not feel it. And I think I use that against myself all the time. I pressure myself to feel all this new stuff I'm learning and believing. But the truth is that the feeling aspect can take a while to catch up to the cognition. And it usually does. And my habit of punishing myself for not feeling it just complicates and makes things feel worse. It doesn't help in any way. It's like in therapy, I can see certain patterns clearly and understand their roots, their manifestations, etc. And my expectation has always been that once I see the issue and understand it, it should go away. It should cease to be an issue. How dumb can I be if I'm aware of the problem and can see it clearly, but I can't just change it or turn it off? But it doesn't work that way, obviously, or my therapist's job would be easy and I would have been done with therapy a long time ago. The truth is that it takes the body a while to catch up. It's been trained a specific way my entire life, and then boom, I spring this new set of beliefs and behavior on it essentially overnight, and I expect it to just cooperate right away, to change 30 years of conditioning just like that. And then when it doesn't change, I get frustrated with it, just like a parent gets frustrated with a child, even when the child doesn't understand. So I'm essentially taking the role of the overbearing, impatient parent and punishing my inner child while he tries to figure it out at his own pace, instead of praising him and jumping for joy and excitement because he's trying. He is trying, and that right there is the whole point of all of it, of art, of life. It's not the result, it's the effort, the intention, the journey. Learning is the process. It's not like one day I'll reach a point and be done, as much as I wish that was the case. I'll always be growing, changing, expanding, and maybe my inner child will always struggle to keep up, but that's okay. And if anything, I think it's a cue for me to pause more, give him more space and time to catch up, walk at his pace for a little. Literally just this morning, I was hiking with Dax and Ash, the dogs I'm sitting, and I was feeling impatient and frustrated because Dax was lagging behind and not picking up the pace when I called him. We were hiking uphill. I finally paused and waited for him to catch up, and when he did, I realized I think he's going as fast as he feels comfortable. His owner just told me yesterday that only a few months ago, Dax literally almost died. He'd had a massive surgery followed by a recovery period, and he is a 6 or 7 year old dog. I mean, it is incredible that he is doing as well as he is, and I was so glad I waited for him because I realized that he probably wanted to hike with me and Ash, but he couldn't keep up. And I was overcome with love and admiration when he did catch up, because it was clear he was trying. Maybe not at the pace I wanted, but at the steady, consistent pace he needed. And when I stopped expecting him to change his pace and I met him where he was, I could really appreciate his effort and progress. It was beautiful, and it reminded me of walking slowly with an old person. We don't admonish them the same way we do children and dogs or ourselves. We are patient and gentle and kind. They have earned our patience, I guess, but I don't think that patience is something that needs to be earned. And regardless, if anyone has earned it, it's my inner child, because he's been working his ass off the past few years. So, yeah. I think going into week 3, just paying more attention to the natural rhythm of life, the ebbs and flows of energy, motivation, excitement. I mean, literally a week ago, I was not excited about recording the video. And this week, despite the technical difficulties I've had, I still feel pretty excited. And trying to shift my attention away from the areas I'm not showing up and towards the ways that I am showing up, because there's a lot of different ways that I do show up for myself, and I think it's important that I make that my focus. So yeah, to wrap up this video, which I know is a little bit longer than the other ones, I believe, I just wanted to talk about some of the exercises I did. So one of the things I did was the exercise was to write 20 things that I enjoyed doing, and then write dates next to them for the last time that I did them. And this was an interesting exercise for me because initially it was hard for me to come up with 20 things. And then as I gave it some space and the days passed, I ended up coming back to it multiple times and writing additional things. And my list got as long as 30 things. So I don't know, it was a fun activity. It was a nice reminder of like the fact that I'm a multifaceted person. I have a diverse range of interests, and I'm proud of that. Also, just because I haven't done something in a long time doesn't mean I don't enjoy doing it. Some of the things that I have on here I haven't done in over a decade, like horseback riding and roller skating. playing with Legos. Like, these are still things I would love to do. And it really puts in perspective seeing it on paper with a date next to it. So yeah, some of the things I've, done relatively recently, but I still want to prioritize more of, like seeing live music, going to the beach, um, playing video games, yoga, um, really fun activity. And it's also a great pool now for me to pull from for artist dates going forward. Um, so yeah, the next exercise I want to talk about is this right here. So the exercise was to draw a circle and split it into 6 sections: spirituality, exercise, play, work, friends, and romance. And then to put dots in each of those sections based on how fulfilled I feel in that area. So the closer to the outside that the dot is, the more fulfilled I feel. And then she had me connect them all with lines, which creates this shape. And I really like this activity because to me it's like a great visual representation of the imbalance in my life and the areas that I could probably pay some more attention to. So in the spirituality and exercise categories, I feel pretty fulfilled. Work for me is somewhere in the middle. What I'm doing right now, I bartend and I actually really enjoy it, but I also don't think it's my lifelong calling. So I landed somewhere in the middle there. Friends and romance, it's been wintertime and I really haven't been motivated to do much socially. So those areas I'm feeling a little less fulfilled. I think in the coming weeks and months, there will be lots of opportunities to explore these and hopefully bring some more balance. And then play, I think same. There's lots of opportunities to put some more energy towards that area. But really, I don't think there's anything bad here. I think it's just really interesting to see a visual representation of the balance or imbalances that I'm dealing with so I can focus more energy to even it out. And I'm really excited to see, I want to do this exercise again in a few weeks and see how the 2 diagrams compare, because I would really like to see it start to even out going forward. So I think that's where I'm going to call it. I've said quite a bit in a relatively short time. Obviously, there was a lot this week to talk about. I'm trying not to stress too much about the length of the video, but this one is definitely going to be my longest. So if you've made it this far, as always, I seriously appreciate your support, and I hope that you're having success on your own journey. And I will be back a week from now with another video reflecting on my experience in week 3. So thank you so much for following along, and I will see you soon.